Alright folks, settle in. We need to address the absolute firestorm that has engulfed Melbourne Park. This is arguably the most explosive talking point of the entire Australian Open 2026 so far, and the internet is completely losing its mind over it. Let me set the stage for you. We are talking about the high-stakes clash between Jannik Sinner and the rising star Eliot Spizzirri. The tension was palpable and the match had officially hit a boiling point under the relentless Aussie sun. To be precise, they were locked at one set apiece deep into the crucial third set. Spizzirri was playing out of his mind, holding a commanding lead of 3-1. The momentum had shifted violently in Spizzirri's favor. You could feel the electricity in the stands. Sinner, on the other hand, looked like he was in serious trouble, physically drained, sluggish, and barely dragging himself from one side of the court to the other. It actually got scary for a moment. He looked like his legs had turned to lead. He was gasping for air and showing every clinical sign of heat distress. That is exactly when the officials stepped in and halted the match. Now, this stoppage wasn't for a sudden downpour, and it wasn't for a twisted ankle. It was a mandatory suspension based on the extreme heat policy. The reaction was instant and furious. Keyboards started typing immediately. How convenient, they are saving the golden boy, or typical Australian Open favoritism. The narrative was clear. If this were an unknown player, they would have been forced to play on. And if we are being completely honest with ourselves, it is not hard to see why the conspiracy theories started flying. However, we need to take a step back and deconstruct this without the shouting. This is a classic case where raw emotion and fan perception crash headfirst into the rigid letter of the law. So what actually is the heat rule? Here in Melbourne, the heat isn't just a nuisance. It is a legitimate health hazard. The tournament utilizes a complex heat stress scale that factors in air temperature, humidity levels, radiant heat from the sun, and wind speed. Once those environmental metrics hit a specific danger threshold, the officials are not just allowed to act often, they are mandated to suspend play to prevent medical emergencies. This protocol isn't something they made up on the fly for 2026. It is not optional, and crucially, it is not a decision left up to the chair umpire's discretion alone. There is a whole team involved, independent medical staff, tournament supervisors, and meteorologists who are monitoring these readings in real time, second by second. When that red line is crossed on the data chart, matches can be paused. It does not matter what the score is, who has the momentum, or how many Grand Slams the guy on the poster has won. So strictly speaking, from a regulatory standpoint, stopping the play was the correct call. But let's be real, following the rules doesn't make the controversy disappear. This is where the optics get messy. Think about the timing. Sinner was down, Spizzirri was dominating, Sinner was visibly wilting. Then the stoppage happens, and when they came back, it was a totally different ball game. When play resumed after the break, Sinner looked like a brand new player. His legs were fresh, his movement was sharp, and that trademark intensity was back in his eyes. The dynamic of the match completely flipped, and Sinner eventually stormed back to take the win. That specific timeline, the struggle, the convenient break, the miraculous recovery, and the victory is exactly why the fan base is up in arms. People aren't mad that a safety rule exists. They are furious about the application. Why stop it at that exact second? Why not 10 minutes earlier? Why not 10 minutes later? Why not let them finish the set before sending them off? These are valid questions, but here's the uncomfortable reality. There is zero concrete proof of any rigging or favoritism. The problem is, professional sport doesn't just run on facts, it runs on vibes and perception. To be fair, the Australian Open has a documented track record of prioritizing safety. They have suspended matches on outside courts involving players you have probably never heard of. Rank-and-file journeymen have benefited from this exact same rule in the past. But at the same time, we cannot ignore the elephant in the room. Jannik Sinner is a global icon, a massive ticket seller, and a ratings giant. Would the officials have been so quick to pull the trigger if this was a match between two qualifiers on court 15? That is the question that nobody can answer with 100% certainty, and that is exactly where the doubt starts to fester. Now let's look at the alternative scenario. Imagine the officials did not stop the match and Sinner collapsed on live television. What if he suffered severe heat stroke or something even more tragic? The headlines wouldn't be about rigging, they would be screaming about negligence. The tournament would be sued and everyone would be questioning their commitment to player safety. The exact same critics would be shouting, "How on earth did they let him keep playing in those conditions?" This is the impossible tightrope that tournament directors have to walk. Do you protect the athlete's health or do you protect the flow of the competition? Sometimes you simply cannot do both perfectly. Ultimately, this isn't really about Sinner personally. It is about a lack of transparency. The fans watching at home do not hear the specific heat stress readings. We don't see the medical data popping up on our screens. All we see is the scoreboard and the clock. If the tournament organizers could communicate these metrics better in real time, a massive chunk of this outrage would evaporate. Instead, the silence breeds suspicion. Was the heat rule applied correctly? According to the 2026 rulebook, yes. Did it fundamentally alter the outcome of the match? Without a doubt. Was it rigged? There is no evidence, but the timing certainly feels incredibly convenient. I want to hear from you guys. Was this a fair safety measure or a strategic save? Let me know your thoughts down below, and if you are enjoying our coverage, hit that subscribe button for more updates.